Africa, and a very warm welcome to you. This is Afternoon Express, and my name is Balisa Dembe. Now, today on the show, it is our famous Tuesday cook-along. So, of course, I had to call on the big guns to help me in the kitchen today. We have our resident chef, Chef Demi. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Bali. I know I'm not playing with knives. I'm just getting my knives ready because it's about to get hot in here.
Oh, we are so ready, girl. Rubs hands like Birdman, because Chef Demi could not do it alone. We have got the radiant light, the beautiful Chef Mbofhi in the loft. How are you doing, girl?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm so excited to touch base with you because, you know, people can follow your work, people can hear about your food, but the proof is in the pudding, and that's exactly what's happening on the show today. You are going to be easing us through, talking us step by step as to how to create the perfect Easter dinner meal, and I'm looking so forward to that. So what's on the menu?
All right, so today I'm coming at you guys with 3 dishes. Okay. We've got a Tuna Tarte that's going to be our starter, and then for our main, I have created the most amazing Pork Roulade recipe that we're going to serve with a beautiful, crispy, cheesy polenta, a beautiful Demi-Glace on top, and then we've got some bok choy that's going to go with it, and then for dessert, right, we have some poached pear that has an oatmeal and sugary crust on top. So that is what I'm coming at you guys today.
Sounding so delicious that I'm looking forward to every little bit of it, from the top all the way to dessert. Now, please do head over to our Afternoon Express website, afternoonexpress.co.za, to get the full ingredients list and recipe so you can cook along with us. Well, let's get cooking, honey. So to make this Tuna Tarte, what do we need? Okay, so this composes of 3 components, right? So we have Demi here, who's going to make our Caviar pearls, which is pomegranate, and we're going to use agar-agar to set that up. And then you, Bali, you are going to make our avocado smash, or avocado pulse. So essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to open your avocados, de-skin them, and then take the flesh, and then we're going to smash it, and then you're going to add all those little beautiful ingredients there. Just
and then
to add the flavor.
Just to add flavor, and then we're going to bring the components together, and then we're going to have the most beautiful dish.
I'm so excited about it. Let's get cooking.
All right, I'll start it off with my tuna here. So this is a fresh tuna, by the way. It's always best to do like fresh tuna. You don't want anything else other than fresh tuna. What we're gonna do is dice it up, right? Like that there. Clean hands every time. Dice it up.
Would this work with any other fish, or is there specific types of fish that you can do this with, tartare specifically?
Okay, this does work with other fish, but what you want is a fresh fish most of the time, and I would prefer a fish that's a bit more oilier. Okay. Like a tuna. And also...
salmon is also quite an oily fish.
Yes, salmon you can do as well. You can definitely do a salmon tartare. That would be a way to improvise.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get started with my pearl or pomegranate.
Yes, okay.
Caviar pearls,
there
right?
You go.
Okay, to start it off, I've got some pomegranate juice, and into the same pot, I'm putting some white sugar.
Yes.
Can we use brown sugar as well?
Yes, we can use brown sugar. I prefer white sugar because it dissolves faster. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And then you just bring that to a boil.
All right.
Then we add our agar.
Because most people, when using gelatin, the whole idea with gelatin is not to boil it. But then with agar-agar, you're saying we can boil, right?
You can boil. So what you do is you boil the liquid, and then once the liquid is boiling, you add your agar in there so that it dissolves. So it's not basically boiling it, it's just dissolving it in the hot mixture. Yeah.
So I'm going to let that dissolve for a bit, and then I'm going to start chopping up some of your herbs that are going into your tartare, right?
So we need some chives, and we need some coriander.
Perfect. Let me go in there for you.
I mean, my avos were ripe to perfection. I had absolutely no issues, no worries being able to take it out of the skin. So now I'm just smashing it, making sure that it is quite smooth, and then I'll add the other elements after it has been
continue. All right. So now I've just diced up my tuna here. What I'm doing is I'm waiting for Demi with the herbs, because these herbs need to be mixed up together. Okay. And then I'm just going to go in here with some lime. What we do, we roll lime like this here so that it releases the juice, actually. Yeah. So that
do you know what I do, Chef?
What do you do?
I take my lime, I throw it up against the wall. Oh, wow. I take all my week's frustrations, all my stresses, I throw it on the floor, and I beat it up just to get all the juice out. It always works.
I'm going to try it. I don't know if I should try it now, or no, I'm not going to do that.
It always works, just to make sure that it releases all those juices that you talk about.
Yeah, that's very true.
Bruising it, but you know, it's a therapeutic way of bruising it.
Sometimes limes are very stubborn, right?
Yeah.
Like this one that I have here, it's not juicy at all.
And is there a
we
trick
can
to
work
get
with
the
that.
juice out of your limes or lemons if you find that they're not as juicy as the ones we have now?
I think if you use a juicer, it's way easier.
okay.
It's way easier than using your hands. You
But I
know?
also have heard a trick that if at all your lemons or your limes are not juicy enough, pop it into the microwave for just a couple of minutes. That actually obviously releases the juices, and then using a toothpick or a very sharp knife, just pierce a hole. Let's say you put this into the microwave, take it out after 2 minutes, pierce a hole, and then press it out, and I promise you all the juice that you can find.
You are lying.
I promise you.
I want to try that out. I literally
that.
want to try that out. Okay, so in here we have some pork cherry, guys.
Okay.
This is a very nice potent dish that has like all these little components into it, you know? Keep you warm. We're going to winter, so it's
Yeah.
necessary, you know?
There's all the
there we
chives.
go.
But then
Got the
obviously
chives.
for people who are non-alcoholic, or maybe they want to also feed the little ones this, what else can they use other than that pork cherry?
Definitely. So instead of using the pork cherry, we can use some soy sauce in this.
Okay.
It's way better with soy sauce as well.
Ooh, soy
just
sauce,
as good.
yes.
Yes, just as good. But we're tweaking it up today
Love it.
to give you a different flavor. So you just want to stir everything. She's put the chives in here, so you want to stir everything now.
Yeah, I'm going to
Alright.
make your coriander quite soon. I'm bringing that over right now. But I just want to show people, right, I made that pearl mixture. It was on the
Yes.
stove. It was nice and hot. But you did mention to me before the show that it has to cool down.
Definitely.
So I have a mixture that was already cooled down that I've got here. Cooled at room temperature, not in the fridge.
No, at room temperature. If you put it in the fridge, it's going to clog up.
Yes.
So you're going to have jelly instead of like a... Literally.
So it's all about the consistency when it
It
comes
is.
to Dumi's side of the
Definitely.
recipe.
Consistency matters because we have to make pearls with the chilled oil. So
Okay.
the chilling part is from the oil.
All right,
Yeah.
interesting. I've never done this before, South Africa, so
well.
I like learning new things. Which
Definitely.
is why I bring on all the big guns every time we have a cook-along.
So, Chef, as we are speaking just about bringing on the big guns, you have to find out from you, essentially, what brought you to cooking? What made you fall in love with food? And so much so that you put on a chef apron and hat.
Okay, so for me, I feel like there was nothing else. Like the one passion I had was cooking. It started with my grandmother cooking on an open fire, and it was a journey, an experience for me, you know? So I felt like I needed to explore more on that. So we moved out of the country in 2011, and then I was exposed to Asian cuisine, and that's where I fell in love with cooking, because then there was like an infusion of culture, an infusion of flavor.
Yeah.
And then I just decided, you know what? I think I'm a chef.
So, Chef, I mean, all the way from the Netherlands to South Africa, and now you are essentially working as a chef. How have you found that journey as an entrepreneur?
Okay, it's been very challenging, especially with COVID, but I think I sort of found my feet or my tone once I got into the whole private catering and private chefing. Yeah, so it's been a journey, but an exciting one. I think it's been an exciting. If you're a chef, you know it's literally a trip every time.
I know.
Every time.
I've actually started frying up the poppadoms that are going to be served with this.
Yes.
I've got your pomegranate caviar mixture ready
Okay.
for you there.
Take this
so
for me.
while you can maybe show us exactly how to make those pearls while I fry up some poppadoms. That actually is
course.
going to be served with your tartare, right?
Okay, so agar-agar essentially is like a gelatine, but a vegan product, right?
Okay.
So now here's a little hack. What you want to do is you want to scoop those in, and then they're going to start making little bowls inside there.
So this is
There you
like a non-meat type of caviar, because
Basically.
people know that caviar
Caviar
is fish
is
eggs.
always fish. No, but you can hack it nowadays.
You can
You just need some agar-agar, some oil, and then this is how we do it. There you
Okay.
go. So
So-
you just swirl these little bubbles around.
A nice trick that I think people need to know is that the oil that you're using for that is cold.
Yes.
So you've chilled the oil, you put the oil in the fridge, and now because of the setting agent in the agar-agar, once it hits that cold oil, it starts forming
It starts forming a little,
those cylindrical thingy.
little cylinder on the top. That's what we call it.
Okay,
These little
perfect.
bubbles here. Okay, so I think I like that. I'm happy with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you let them sit, or you can
We
start
let-
serving immediately?
We can start serving. So let me just plate up while I'm waiting
Awesome.
for the avocado pulse there.
We're almost
All right.
there. I'm literally putting the last touches. You know that lemon, that lime juice that we're
Yes,
talking about?
yes.
That is what I'm squeezing into
Okay.
here. But otherwise, the peppers are in there, the avocado's in there. I've got some coriander in there as well. So now I'm ready to mix it all on up.
Okay.
And
So
then
look,
serve.
this right here, we're doing it home style. There's not like any method to doing this. This is like whichever way you're comfortable with in your house. It smells amazing.
It does. I can
It really
actually smell the
does.
pork
Good.
cherry from here.
And all those herbs, they just bring up the flavor of the tuna and
And I love the
everything.
fact that you've got the freshness from the tuna, and then you've got that creaminess that comes from the avo.
There you
And
go.
obviously that tartness that's going to come from all the lemons that you've got in the tuna and in the avocado pulse as well.
Definitely. So it sort of like creates this balanced starter.
And tell us about those deep fried items that Dumi made there.
Yeah.
First of all, Dumi, what did you call them? And secondly, how do they add a texture to the mix?
These are called poppadoms, and I think maybe you can answer to explain that. Like we always say, texture is very
Yeah.
important.
Texture is very important. So if you see here, we have nothing that is crunchy. And also we need like a little side starch to the dish. So the best thing about this is that you just fry them. They take about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That is it.
I
That
did
is
see
it.
how quickly, as soon as
Literally.
Dumi put them in there,
Drop it in the oil.
ready
Get
to
out.
go.
Definitely.
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
which leads us to the social media question, Dumi. I know on social media we love every single time on our Cook-along to engage with you online. So, Dumi, what are we asking our viewers?
Yes, Palisa, we're very simple. Nothing says Easter quite like a pickled fish or hot cross buns and chocolate. But what's your favorite Easter time food? We've asked you to tell us what exactly that is. And remember to use the hashtag Afternoon Express and let us know, because there's so many different dishes. You know, some people say it's hot cross buns. Some people say it's that trifle. Whatever it is, let us know. Use the hashtag Afternoon Express. Chef, I think that dish is basically almost done.
Basically. So we're just going to take our pearls here.
Okay.
Okay, they've set a little bit. I'm going to try to scoop it out.
Okay.
Wow. So, Chef, whilst you're scooping out those pearls and putting that finishing touch on this delicious starter, what will we be making coming up?
So next we've got our main dish, which is the pork roulade. So it's a stuffed pork that we're gonna stuff with some mushroom. We call the stuffing a duxelle. We're gonna serve with some polenta and some bok choy.
Ooh, delicious. Well,
Yeah.
present that to South Africa.
All right.
And we've got so much more coming up.
Here we go. That is our starter for the day.
Express yourself. Clover cheese is for those who love life, where everything falls into place and melts away our cares, adding joy and stretching our imagination. Clover, for the love of cheese.
Made with love by Clover.
Welcome back to our Afternoon Express Cook-Along, where we have our guest chef, Chef Mbofhi. Now, we are inspiring you when it comes to Easter dining, Easter cuisine, and of course, she is speaking us through top to toe what we're going to be making. Now, I love the fact now that we're about to create something a little different. I have never made a pork belly like this. So can you just talk us through this recipe and the ingredients we need?
All right, so pork roulade, that's what we're calling it today. It's a pork roulade. So pork roulade is a belly, it's a pork belly that we're gonna stuff. What I'm gonna stuff with is I'm gonna stuff it with some mushroom that we're gonna saute first. And then the condiments for that is gonna be some polenta, which you are gonna do for us. And then we also have some caramelized apples, which you are gonna prepare for us. And then we have some bok choy just to add some greeniness, some freshness, and yeah.
Love that. So it's pretty simple. I mean, my station, I'm going to start with mine.
Oh, yeah.
Mine is the easiest, honey. To make these delicious caramelized apples, I have got some salt, some brown sugar, and some butter, and of course, the apple itself. So I'm just going to slice this, as you have shown me. I'm going to slice it very thinly, very small pieces, fry it up, and then hopefully I'm going to do Chef Mbofhi proud.
I think you already did. That guac was beautiful, so I'm already impressed. All right, so on my side, I'm just going to start sauteing our mushrooms. That's going to go inside our pork before I start sealing it and doing the sauce for it. And Domi, you're preparing our polenta.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready with our cheeses here, and today we are using our amazing Clover cheese. We're using different kinds. So we've got Tasses, we've got cheddar. If you'd like to, you can also use Gouda. We've also added we're going to be adding a bit of Parmesan as well. The one thing I love about this dish is that polenta, in essence, I'd like to call it just Spanish pap. It's like, you know, I like to, you know, it's like Spanish pap in essence. So what we're doing now is we're putting a spin on it and just not having that simple plain grain. We're adding some, you know, flavor to it. Yes, most people, there's still that debate, Mbofhi, about whether people add salt to their pap or not. With polenta, you do want to add flavor. You want to add that bit of flavor. So we're using cheese today, and I'm using 3 different types of cheeses. You know, they're enriched with, they've got all that calcium in there, so you know it's great for you. So I'm just going to start grating up this cheese, and once I've grated up all the cheese that I need, I'm going to start cooking it. Same premise as pap, right?
Basically. So what you want to do, you boil your water, and then you're going to add in your masa in there. That's literally it. I'm going to go in with my mushrooms while you're doing that.
Okay.
All right.
This recipe is super simple, and for me, when you were speaking about your polenta, what I love about polenta is that creaminess. So a lot of people might not know how to always achieve the same consistency of creaminess when putting together a very good polenta. I know we're coming through with the cheese today, but how else can we add an extra element of cream?
Exactly. That last word, cream. You could also add cream into your polenta. You can add bucket loads of butter into your polenta. You basically can flavor it whichever way you like. I also suggest adding yogurt in there. Plain yogurt works very well in there. Some black pepper takes it to a whole other level, you know. But it's basically about what you like as a person. What flavors do you like? You can put in, remember Balesa, my mom made that savory pap last year?
I remember.
You can do that whole thing again. Fry up some veggies on the side, some red peppers, green peppers, add those into your polenta, and then that takes it to a whole other level altogether.
Love that. Okay, and now how is it going on the mushroom station?
Okay, so I'm almost done here with my mushrooms. I'm just gonna let them saute a little bit. While this is happening, right, I've prepared a little butcher's twine kind of twang, if you could call it. So what we wanna do is truss our pork belly. So what we're gonna do is stuff it with our mushrooms, and then we're gonna roll it so that we tuck everything inside and nothing falls off. I think this is ready. So the best part about this one, right? For me, what I like to do with the pork, it's a one-pot wonder. I use the very same pot for everything so that we retain the ingredient, the flavor in there.
Yeah.
So we set this aside, reduce your heat.
Do you know what I also love about a one-pot wonder?
Yeah.
Less dishes.
That is true. That is very true. You don't have to be like walking around the kitchen, washing everything.
Yeah. And also just on my apple station here, as you can see, I've got my slices coming on quite well. I've added my butter to the pan. But then when it comes to the sugar and the salt, honey, how do you want me to put this together?
All right. So essentially what we're trying to do is to make caramel.
Yes.
And then that's going to caramelize our apples. So as this is melting, I'd rather you add your sugar right now.
Okay.
And then let it melt very slowly. Sugar burns really fast. So you want to make sure you're on like medium-low heat.
Medium-low.
And you are are stirring the entire time to make sure it's dissolving and not burning.
Okay.
Right?
Sure, luckily I asked. Good timing.
And then with me on the pak choy side, I also just want to confirm, Chef, do you like to throw it in whole, or do you want me to cut it up before we put it into the pot?
I would rather you cut it in half.
Cut it in half. All right,
Cut it in
lengthways,
half.
obviously.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
And this is going into a pot with just a bit of butter.
Just a little bit of butter, and then we're just gonna fry it nicely. We still want it nice and crunchy. All right, so I'm gonna go in with the pork belly and start stuffing it.
Okay.
This is our pork belly.
Now, most people, when making a duxelle, they would want to chop the onions finely.
Yeah.
You've left it very whole. Is there a reason for that?
Because it's a very chunky stuffing for a pork belly. You won't see it. Mostly when you do make a duxelle, it's usually for a Wellington, and there's like a layer of something, and you want to make sure it's even. But here, because we're stuffing it in here, it won't be an issue. But here, you see what I see with the pork belly? What you want is to make it even every time.
Okay.
So I'm seeing this little piece of meat that I'm just gonna...
Wow, to even it out.
Yeah.
And you're not removing it. Most people will be like, oh, it's extra piece of meat. Are you going to chuck it away?
I'm not gonna chuck it out. I'm gonna put it in there.
Amen, Queen. I am
not gonna chuck it away. No, man. So you want to salt this with pepper as well, because you want to create flavor in everything that you're doing.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And then we go in. Very simple. Go in with your mushrooms, like that there.
Looking so good. Those mushrooms are cooked to perfection. I hate overcooked mushrooms as well. So it seems as if you had that on the right heat, on the right time, and now they're good to go.
Definitely. All right. So now we start rolling. It becomes messy at this stage, but we are in the kitchen. It is supposed to be messy, right?
Yeah.
You can roll it whichever way you want. I prefer the longer side.
Okay.
So try to do that there. This is going to become messy. You see this piece of meat? I don't want to get rid of it. I'm going to do it as we go.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Okay,
Let me know if you need me to help you with you sort it.
So you put all the mushrooms on one side of the pork belly to be able to roll it then over, giving it that space that it needs to roll over. I love that. It looks like my sugar, even here on the station, is starting to caramelize the way you wanted it to. And Dumi, what are you doing on your side?
I'm making the polenta. So normally when people make pap, people would be on some you don't use a whisk for pap. But when it comes to polenta, guys, if you want to make sure that those greens don't clump up too quickly, I always suggest to use the whisk first. Whisk it up nicely. Once you see that it's all coated in some type of water, then you can let the baby do what it needs to do.
Okay.
All right, and then as you see, I did bring a pin, Mama. I wasn't doing the wrong thing here. I did have a pin.
No, but it's a good tip for pap as well, because you can do the very same thing with pap. It saves you so much time.
It does, it does.
So much time.
It started on a very high heat, as you would with normal pap, and now I'm turning it down to a medium to low, because now you want it to simmer and basically cook up.
And I can already see it thickening up.
Correct.
It's already getting so thick in a matter of seconds.
Correct, Bali.
I think your caramel is ready. You can go in with your apples.
Love that.
Okay, I'm just finishing trussing here.
Okay, and then Chef, when you're talking about trussing, we're using pork today, right? But I know some people don't like pork. Some people will be on some, I don't want to have this dish. It looks delicious, but I don't eat pork. What other meats could we use in place of the pork?
You could use a leg of lamb if you want to use lamb, and then you just debone it.
Balasa, as you can see, I've just added some seasoning to this, but I'm not adding too much salt because we're going to add that cheese. So it is important at this point to under-season, leave it, let it cook to whatever consistency we need it to be at, and then once it's halfway cooked or almost at the point we need it to be, then we add our cheese, check the seasoning there. If you wanted to add the cream, this would be the point. Once it's already come together, that's when you add your cream to, make it mellow out and do what it needs to do. But I'm going to leave that be right now, and I've grated my cheese. I'm going to start sauteing our bok choy.
So right now, we're about halfway through the recipe. My caramelized apples are looking golden to perfection. Loving it. And on your side?
I have trusted my lamb. What I need to do is seal it off.
Okay.
I'm just going to seal it off real quick. Can you pass me the oil, please?
Sure, no
Thank
problem.
you very much. And this is very quick, right?
All right, but obviously we're going to finish all of that.
Oh, yes.
Right.
I love that. We've got so much up our sleeve, Mzansi. We are setting you up, making sure that you're able to feed your family the food that they absolutely love as delicately as possible. We are halfway through creating this delicious pork belly, or as you like to call it, a pork
roulade.
A pork roulade. So please do head over to afternoonexpress.co.za for the full ingredients list and recipe to get cooking along with us.
love by Clover.
Clover cheese is for those who love life, where everything falls into place and melts away our cares, adding joy and stretching our imagination. Clover, for the love of cheese.
Made with love by Clover.
Our pharmacies are on the front line of healthcare. This is Pharmacy of the Week.
Over the past 25 years, this pharmacist has become more and more important to both myself and to the community. And the people that he has employed over the years have complimented him and he's trained them very well. Other dispensaries, advertising and radio, I've never met another one like this.
For Central Pharmacy, to be brave means to be here and to do what's important and needs to be done, even if we all have fears and uncertainties about the COVID pandemic.
Pharmacy of the Week, proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Express kitchen. Now, Chef, we have just been making absolute magic from the top of the show.
Yeah.
We've got our Tuna Tarte done. We've got the first half of our delicious Pork Roulade done as well. So now this is essentially part two.
Yeah.
So what do we need for part two? And essentially, to create this magic at the end that we're going to be plating up, how do we make sure that we get it right?
All right. So now what you want to do, because this is the star of the dish, our pork belly is the star of dishes. What you want to do is you want to seal it, right? So sealing essentially is gonna keep the moisture in and it's gonna give us that beautiful crusty texture that we want.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start this off, right? While I'm doing this, you're finishing off the other dish.
Yes.
Then you can help me. Maybe we're chopping off my garlic and my ginger.
Okay, I can do
Thank
that.
you so much. So I'm gonna start this off. It's very simple. My pan is already hot here, all right? And then you take this, the side that was like, this side here.
Okay.
Right? And then you put it in like that there. And that is the sound.
That started sizzling immediately, which
Yeah.
means that it's a very high heat,
It's a
right?
very high heat. You have to make sure that your cast iron is on a very, very high heat. And then that happens. I said I'm not going to waste this. I'm going to put this back in.
Yeah, you did say that. That's gonna be, you know, at a braai, I was always that kid who was the taste tester. So you know all the offcuts of meat and the things that get left behind. That was me, and that's essentially what I'm gonna do to that piece of pork belly. Looking delicious, absolutely scrumptious. I love the fact that Dumi as well, here on the polenta station, we're already going in with the cheese.
Yes, I'm going in with our cheese, and we're using clover cheese. like I mentioned in the first segment. And the one thing I love about clover cheese is that it is made with 100% milk, cow's milk. So you don't have to worry about it being a product that's not, quality. And over the years, we've trusted Clover to give us the best in terms of products.
Yeah.
So this is another part where to the cheese that's going in here is going to add a dimension of flavor to your dish that just makes it all the better. And the lovely thing as well is that today I've used tassas and a bit of Gouda. You've got the option to use cheddar. You've got the option to use even feta goes very well into a polenta as well. So you could do that as well. So our polenta, as you can see, is nice and creamy. I'm not sure if you can see this. It looks all kinds of good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer it onto our baking tray, a baking casserole dish. And then this is not the end, Bali, because we still have to put it into the oven. So I'm going to put this into our dish, sprinkle a bit more cheese on top of it, and go into the oven so we can get this beautiful golden crust on the top.
Looking very, very promising there for me on that polenta station. Making sure that we are taken care of when it comes to the starch of this dish. But now to the star of the dish, which is this delicious pork belly. I can already see on that side that you wanted to seal it. It's cooked through. It's not going to fall apart.
It's not going to fall apart. So that's what it helps as well. When you seal, it sort of allows the meat to seal back together as well. What you want to do is turn it around and make sure you're sealing the entire pork belly. So not just one part. Be careful.
This almost reminds me of a wrap. You know,
a wrap is what it is.
Beautiful. And then over here with the garlic and the ginger, do you just want me to chop it very finely? And where will this go into?
Okay.
Go into the roulade.
So we're going to remove this part. Since we're working with a one-pot wonder, we're going to remove this and put it on our baking dish. And then we're going to make a sauce for this in the very same pot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So you chop that nice and fine. Ooh.
I've got that.
Now,
when we are thinking about, Easter treats and Easter food and the things that we love to indulge in during this time of the year, for you, what truly stands out? Today, we are making a pork dish, but for you, on social media, that's the question.
Yes, that is the question, Bali. And I have to say, whenever I think of Easter or holidays that include family, I always think of my mom's recipes. Yes, I'm the chef in the house. I'm the one that's, in essence, a qualified person, but nothing beats a home-cooked meal that your mom has, made with love. And for me, that's all I can think of. And it can be anything, Palisa. I'm not going to say it's the meat or it's the pap. It's everything. Anything my mom makes, you can taste the love in all those dishes.
Mommy's girl.
So right now, I'm going to remove this because I'm happy. Woo, that's going to happen, guys. So,
and that's just that fat rendering.
That is just fat rendering, which is completely normal.
And that also comes from, when they talk about crackling.
Yeah.
That would normally happen in the oven. If you put the pork in the oven and you just let it cook without foil, it gets that nice crack. It happens in the oven without the fight that we're seeing here. The pork, it's as if the pork is fighting back.
Okay, so I'll go in with my onions here. Right there, just to create a base.
That's part of the demi-glace.
The demi-glace for the sauce.
What is a demi-glace, chef? You're coming here with terms. We want the people to know.
So a demi-glace is essentially a condiment that's going to go with a braised meat.
Okay.
So it's going to be reduced. Whatever sauce that you're going to put inside this here, you're going to reduce it later on, and it becomes like a nice, thick, and very rich, dark color.
So all those fancy terms, a demi-glace,
just a dark
reduction.
Literally, it's a reduction. That is it.
Awesome stuff.
Silmi, please may you pass me, or chef, are you able to please pass me just that grater?
No problem.
I want to use it for my ginger here because I do love myself a whole lot of flavor when it comes to getting all that ginger out. And I just think that the best and easiest way to do it is with one of these bad boys. And chef, when you are creating this sauce, the sauce that you're talking about, what is so important to remember? How are we able to make sure we get the right nutrients that we need, but that flavor is not skimped out on?
All right, so what you want to do is you don't want to dilute your sauce too much. You want to work with like the natural ingredients of whatever protein or whatever you're working with.
Yeah.
That's like the best way to retain flavor. Work with the natural ingredients of a product.
So not too much water in there.
Not too much water. I mean, I am going to add a little bit of water because we do have soy sauce, but that's going to be like a balance between the two.
Okay.
Right? So I'm just waiting on you with my ginger.
I got you. Perfect timing. Yeah. I'm so glad you spoke about it right now because I'm finished microblading my ginger, my garlic. I'm just going to put it all in one big heap because, I mean, we love the flavors all together anyway. And then I just pop that in your pot.
Yeah.
Chef, please have a look at this pak choy. Tell me how far.
See that? That looks
you'd
so
like
beautiful.
this.
I think this is ready because we want to retain the crunchiness of the
Okay.
bok choy, so I like that.
Okay, so
consistency right there.
gonna
That is done.
Leave it on the heat,
It
but
is
turn it
done.
off.
Okay.
Right.
So I am gonna go now with the sauce. The sauce is
Okay.
very simple. It's very fast. I'm gonna up my heat here, and then I'm gonna go in with some soy sauce. Right? Yeah.
And
So now we're deglazing essentially, like all those bits and pieces at the bottom that is flavor. We're like literally trying to scrape them off with the soy sauce, right? And then you go in with the water to balance it out.
Okay.
which is something I feel like some people don't know. When you're cooking and something is burnt on there, don't go and wash your pan. That's flavor right there. Don't put it in the sink and wash it off. Instead, use a liquid to lift it off. Like we're using soy sauce now. If you wanted to, you could do a wine dish where you deglaze it with wine. You could deglaze it with stock if you've got that on hand. You could deglaze it with the juice perhaps. Because like right now we've paired this with apples. You could use apple juice to deglaze and make a sauce with.
And I mean, these apples are already done, caramelized, just the way you want it, Chef. So I'm going to pass that over to you. But I love the fact that you are speaking about using absolutely every single element to make this magic in the kitchen. I normally am one of those. I wash my pan. I keep going back, wash my pan, wash my pan.
My
but
goodness.
I'm essentially losing that flavor.
You are losing that flavor. Most people think it's burnt pieces, but it's not. Once you deglaze it, it's what creates a dark, rich browniness in the sauce, which is really nice. So this is looking good. All right. So you just want it to like maybe simmer for a few more minutes so that the flavors marry or incorporate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to plating, I think we're almost at that stage now of our recipe when it's time to put it all together. And because it is a holiday time, it is Easter, a lot of people do eat and enjoy food as a family. So how is the best place, or best way rather, to plate it? And can you show us there on our slate?
All right. So what we're gonna do here is we have a platter, which is like a family style kind of dish. So what we're gonna do, you take an entire protein, whatever you're gonna be working
take
with.
one out for you because we've got that one that
we've done it already.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, and you can just show us exactly what you were saying. There we
Wow, that looks incredible. Look at all those juices at the bottom.
Look at that. That is all that flavor. Okay.
Perfect.
What I want to do now is to get this in there and then we put it in the oven.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to quickly do this. This pan is hot.
So it's not,
It's very
so
hot.
essentially, we'd make sure that
wanna
we're
make sure.
safe in the kitchen. We don't burn our hands. We're going to take something, maybe a cloth or whatever. You make sure that this sauce goes into the baking tray, into the pork. Make sure those flavors incorporate, and then when it comes out looking like that.
Yeah, that is true. All right, so let's cut this up. This is the best part, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, look at that. I'm gonna take this close to me.
Sure.
Ooh, this looks so beautiful. All right, we always work with our hands, right? Which is okay. So now, this is what you wanna do. You wanna remove those little butcher's twine or the string, as you call it.
The string, queen, the string.
It's the string. It's a bit, there you go.
You cut that all the way
cut
up,
that all the way up.
releasing now the meat.
There.
And look at how it just stands together, it holds together. It's
It holds its integrity. Okay, so I'm just gonna, the best part is we already have a lining from that string. So you just follow the lining that you have, and you wanna be very nice and very gentle with it. Oh, you're gonna see the middle now. It's gonna be, there it is.
Wow.
That
And the
happens.
mushrooms are just presented so well.
Yeah.
Would you then use some of your veggies as the base of it?
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
So,
to
Domi,
have
maybe
that-
you can start on that station
start.
as we put this all together. And we are almost ready to create a delicious dessert. So, Chef, whilst you're plating this up, what will we be making after the break?
Oh, okay. So when we come up, we are gonna have a poached pear that we're gonna poach in some white wine, and then we're gonna top with some crunchy oat and sugar mixture. It's got oats, it's got nuts, and you can serve with ice cream. One of my favorite desserts.
Sounding absolutely delicious. Thank you so much, ladies, as you do plate it to perfection, making sure that we eat with our eyes first before we take any taste of this food. Looking forward to tasting it and giving my opinion at the end of the show. But Mzansi, it is time to create that delicious dessert, and we have all of that goodness coming up. Welcome back to the Afternoon Express kitchen, where we are ready to put the sweet ending to what's been an amazing cook-along. Now, Chef, you've got something very special for us. Please tell us, what do we need to whip up these pears?
Okay, so for our pears, right, we are going to need to first cut them and coat them, which you're going to help me with. So we're going to cut them in half, and then we're going to take out a little bit of flesh, right? And then on my side, I'm going to do a topping for it, which we're going to have some oatmeal, some sunflower seeds, brown sugar, cinnamon, and some breadcrumbs for that crunchiness, and we're going to mix it with butter, right? I also need some nuts, which you're going to help chop up for me, right? Now, I'm going to start cutting everything here. And then, oh, we need wine for this. My goodness, I almost forgot the best part, the wine.
Okay. So essentially, these pears, can you just explain to our viewers what the pears entail and what you would be calling it this Easter holidays?
All right. Well, so the pears entail the topping and some ice cream. So the best part is like when they come out of the oven, you scoop like a frozen scoop of ice cream and just melt on it. So I just call it a crunchy pear. I love that. I didn't have like a name for it. It's a crunchy pear, literally. That was...
And also what I love about this recipe is the imagination behind it. We're taking a simple fruit, upskilling it, adding a little bit of pizzazz and making it absolutely delicious, decadent and sweet. And that's what I love about it. I mean, you can have fruit for breakfast, lunch and supper, but here we're having it as a dessert.
As a dessert,
And you know me and my sweet tooth ballet, I'll always find a way to try and have dessert somehow. So this is perfect because I get to make the excuse and say, but I'm having my fruit.
And it's almost like a guilt-free dessert.
Exactly. So I'm coring the pears. I used an apple corer or corer, this is what it's called. However, if you don't have this, you are more than welcome to use just a knife. After using your knife, cut it in half, then you can use a spoon, a measuring spoon, just to basically get this, scoop out the center of it so you have a bit of a bed for the filling that you're making.
Definitely, that's all you gotta do. Okay, so I'm just gonna add my butter here while that's happening, while I'm waiting for the nuts.
The nuts are almost done.
I mean, almost there.
I'm gonna leave them some a little chunky, some a little finer,
so that we
just to add to the crunch.
Definitely, and you see how quickly this comes out along, right?
Literally.
It's like the quickest dessert ever. So
I love
you can
it.
like have the little ones do it and keep them busy as well.
And Chef, what I also love about it, it pretty much seems foolproof.
Basically, yeah. I mean, unless you like burn it in the oven or something, which is like not, you know, it's a very simple.
You can't mess this recipe up. It's so simple. The nuts are there, done and dusted.
Here we go. Nicely. Right, so you just mix everything up.
And Chef, depending on what fruits are in season, right now we're using pears. What other kinds of fruits perhaps are that would still hold their shape rather? Because you wouldn't want to use something that breaks down once it's cooked. So which fruits would work?
I would definitely use apples for this. I would use nectarines for this, for that added sweetness as well. So the fruits that are like very robust and will not like go soggy very fast.
All right, perfect.
I just can't imagine those nectarines being able to bite into it if you were to substitute it with right out, getting me very, very excited, now salivating. And I'm going to remind you in South Africa where to get the recipe and the ingredients list for this. Just head over to afternoonexpress.co.za. Love it all. Dumi, it seems like your pears are almost good to go there. You've got 3 down, 1 more.
Correct.
And Chef, can you just show me now, when you lining these pears with that filling, how to do that?
Okay, so this is very simple and it can be messy because you're gonna use the very same bowl, right? It's a very easy dish. So what you want to do, the recipe calls for you to first poach the pear, but if you do want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, you can cook everything at once. So in the bottom, it's gonna be poaching and at the top, it's gonna be crisping up.
Wow,
I
like that.
Very fast method.
So if you do have the time and you would like to do it like that, then you can poach the pears first before you fill them up with that filling. Or, of course, you can do it the same way we're doing it here today, where we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You fill the pears, you put them in that baking tray, and then underneath, the water that kind of comes out and from the pear, that's going to come as the poaching agent whilst you're golden browning the top.
And the wine. Don't forget the wine.
Ooh, the wine.
Okay. And
we're
then
poaching wine, actually.
what does that do? Yes, so we're poaching here with our wine instead.
So wine has, it's made out of grapes. It has a sucrose sweetness to it. Sucrose is sugar. So as you steam, it sort of like activates the sugar in the pear as well. So the tartness of the wine and the pear brings out this, I can't explain it. Like
something you
Like,
just
in
have
a
to
bite,
taste.
you just have to taste it. Like, it makes it really work.
And you know, sorry, carry on.
No, I was saying it's an ingredient that works together.
It does very well. And Palisa, you know when you're making, there's certain desserts that when you make them, you bake them in the oven, but you need to have your setting in the oven on steam. So sometimes when you don't have that option, this is basically where the steaming would happen, because the liquid in there creates a moist air inside of the oven, helping to soften the pear, but at the same time, because it's under a grill, it then grills up caramelizes the top part of that pear.
Wow.
So you are basically making a dessert that can't disappoint.
I love that. It definitely can't disappoint, especially for someone like me in the kitchen, where I'm not quite sure of all the knobs and the tools and the tricks. I didn't even know that my oven had a steam function. So I'll definitely be using these skills in the kitchen, making it just so easy for me.
Yeah, so that's easy. You just want to pour the liquid at the bottom. And then you let this baby go in the oven for about 15 minutes. And there is our done dish.
Yes.
There you go.
Let's transfer that
look
out.
at that.
Looking absolutely delicious. You can just present it quite nicely.
Yeah.
I can imagine enjoying this with a scoop of cold ice cream.
Ahead of you,
say ice
girl.
cream?
I'm ahead of you.
Did somebody say ice
Somebody
cream?
say ice cream.
Do me perfect timing. Loving that. And now let's see how Chef is about to dish this all up.
Very simple. So you really just want to do one poach per person, one pear per person, and as much ice cream as you want. Literally, there's no dosage of ice cream or whatever. There you go.
Absolutely delicious. Well, thank you so much, Chef. I really appreciated this tutorial, making incredible ideas around Easter time with your family. Now, after the break, we're going to be sitting down at the table to enjoy these treats, and I'm going to be giving you my rating.
Okay.
Express yourself.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express, where it is my favorite time of the day. Let's get eating, ladies. Chef Dumi, please remind us what we whipped up today.
We had quite a bit on this menu today, Balissa. We had a delicious starter, which we're about to dig into right now. A tuna tartare starter with smashed avo and some poppadoms.
Yeah.
And then we have a pork roulade with some, what's that word again?
It's crispy polenta.
No, the inside of the...
Oh, with duxelle.
Duxelle. With some duxelle in the center, and then we've got some sauteed pak choy at the bottom. And then to finish it off, a dessert that I feel anyone can have because it's got the benefits of fruitiness in there and then the decadence of a creamy ice cream, and that is your pear crisp dessert deliciousness.
That's what we're calling it.
A little bit of everything.
A
Well,
little bit
Chef,
of everything.
I'm going to pass my plate over to
Yes.
you. Please, may you start with the tuna tartare for me.
Please.
Just the way that you like it. Now, Chef, as an entrepreneur, a lady in the business, making a way for herself, what is something for you that has truly stood out within being an entrepreneur and, of course, being starting your journey in your bespoke chefing?
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, my entrepreneurial career started out of a need, right? There's so much you can do in the industry. You sort of reach a ceiling because of circumstances. So I sort of saw a way forward for myself with the experience that I have and having worked with so many chefs all around the world. So I figured I could come back home and start something of my own, hopefully also try to create opportunities for others. So yeah.
So you saw a need, you reached a ceiling, and you decided to push through it. So when we do have a typical bespoke experience of yours, what can we expect?
Okay, so you're gonna find a menu that is, sometimes it's familiar ingredients, sometimes it's not, based on what you like. But what we do different is that we try to serve it in a finer dining way, almost Michelin, but we top it like a little bit, not to Michelin. We come with our own waiters in your space, I suppose, your own home or either a wedding, a baby shower, it does not matter. So that's the service we try to give you, a service you would get in a restaurant, but in the comfort of your own space.
I think that that's very critical right now, Mzansi, because we are still under, we should be under lockdown and making sure that we are staying safe and we are staying home. So I love the fact that we can celebrate any and every experience with you cooking it up in the kitchen. And if it tastes anything like this tuna tartare, I mean, congratulations. I love myself some tuna tartare, and this is one of the best I've tasted. Congratulations.
I started with dessert because I'm of the notion that you should start with dessert. And I have to say that that concept of poaching at the bottom, starting with the liquid at the bottom and then the crustiness on the top, it makes sense because the pear is perfectly cooked. It's not overcooked. It's nice and crunchy. Still has a bit of that bite. But then the tart mixture that you crumble you've got on the top makes so much sense. The spices in there, girl. And yes, I should probably put some ice cream on it, but it's just perfect on its own right now. It works.
Cinnamon just brings out everything, right?
And the balance of flavors, even without the ice cream,
Even without
is
the ice,
perfect.
it's amazing. It is beautiful.
I love that. So, Chef, as I am trying the main meal, again, I did tell you I'm going to let you know what I feel about it.
Do it.
I mean, what advice do you have for up-and-coming creatives behind the kitchen?
Look, passion, consistency, and to keep pushing. Like, there are so many challenges that we face, you know, not just being a woman, just like running a business in general. It's not easy, especially right now. But we keep pushing, you know, we search for new opportunities and a way to grow in the circumstances that we're in. Makes it easier.
Well, thank you so much for all of those tips and tricks. Listen, South Africa, this pork roulade is everything that Chef promised and so much more. The sweetness from those caramelized onions, the mushrooms in the center, absolutely delicious. But the crunchy outside, absolutely divine. How's the polenta there, girl?
I'm not to be
like
cheesy or
digging in.
anything, guys.
Wow, not to be cheesy to me.
The polenta is divine. And the one thing I love is that you've got that earthiness of the polenta itself working so well with the tanginess of the cheese. And well done. I mean, I think this is one of those dishes that you could have with anything. You know what you have with your meat, you can have it on its own. It is delicious. It is amazing. Well done.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the food. I've just been listening to you guys. I've not been digging it.
She hasn't even tasted her own food.
my food.
Well, luckily for you, Queen, we have reached the end of the show, so you can do as much eating as you want. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us here on Afternoon Express. Your expertise has truly been treasured.
Thank you so much for having me.
And do
really
me
appreciate
again
it.
for introducing us to the Queen. Cheers to you.
Queen's winning all day.
I love
Cheers.
it. And here is to more Easter inspiration. Thank you so much, Mzansi, for tuning in. Good night, stay safe, and happy eating. Goodbye.
Every love story is beautiful. Celebrate the month of love with your family favorites. Made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.